What's going on, guys? I'm Ben and welcome back to Corporate Dropout. Today we're going to be talking about some long-term rental stuff. Some rental properties. If you're a landlord, this can be perfect for you. Being a landlord can be difficult, from working with tenants to getting your property all ready to go. There's a lot of stuff that goes into being a landlord and maintaining a property. So today we're going to talk about 7 tips to maintain your property, keep it rented, and generate max cash flow. Before we get started, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified of when we have more videos come up. All right, let's get into it. Tip number 1, treat your property like a business. This is pretty self-explanatory, but it's difficult. Maybe you're a landlord who has a 9-to-5 and is also managing a rental on the side. You have to treat it like a business though. You gotta maintain professionalism with your tenants. You gotta keep your books intact. Sign up for QuickBooks, it's cheap. $20 a month, something like that. It'll keep your books in order and make sure that you're not missing anything when it comes tax time. You also gotta think about tenant screenings. Make sure that you do that before they move in, and hold those documents. Have a record keeping system. You're gonna have to also comply with federal, state, and local laws and have that solid reputation so you can avoid some of these potential legal problems you'll run across and keep your property rented down the line. Tip number 2, prepare your property. Before you rent, make sure that your property is clean. Make sure it's ready for people to move in. You need to provide a safe place for people to rent. It's your responsibility to do that. It's worth spending that extra money on the front end to get your property up to top of the market standards so that the tenants have a sense of responsibility for your property so that they maintain it and keep it nice. It's important to do things like testing the smoke alarms, the carbon monoxide detectors. Make sure the vents are free and clear of debris and buildup. Make sure all the appliances work. The HVAC system as well. You are responsible for providing a safe and habitable living space. Do not be a slumlord, please. We run across this all the time when we're buying houses. We run across houses that are just completely run down because the property manager, the property owner, the landlord didn't care to take care of the property, and the tenant beat it to hell. Don't be that guy. Plus, if you take care of all this stuff on the front end, you're not gonna have to do it later on when the tenant moves out. You're gonna have all these things already taken care of on the front, and the tenant's gonna take care of your property because they think it's nice and they know it's nice. That kind of leads us right into tip number 3. Update your property, but do it right. Do it the right way. There's a smart way to do it that we'll talk about. In our business, our philosophy is to make all of our rentals nice on the front end before we rent them to our potential tenants. So we put in things like granite, we do tile in the bathrooms, we do hardwood or luxury vinyl plank floors, and then we match the finishes on all the hardware. Tenants are gonna tend to take better care of your asset if they feel like the property is nice. If it's run down, if you're just kind of putting in just enough to get it up to somewhat livable standards, they're not gonna care because they feel like you don't care about your own property, so why would they? The more value that tenants perceive, the better they care for your property. But don't overdo it. You don't have to go all out like a house, like a luxury house that you might live in. Nice, clean, and consistent throughout is the way to do this. The way that we do it, and it's worked. Number 4, this is a tough one, but you gotta vet your tenants. You have to do it correctly too. You may only have 1 or 2 applications come through, but if it's a bad tenant, if they're bad tenants, don't rent to them. Come up with another strategy to get more applications in the door. And of course, don't just take the first application that comes in and rent to that person. You have to screen your tenants. You have to compare them to other tenants. A background check, a credit check, those are great starting points. You want to make sure your tenant can pay each month and that they have a solid rental background. You don't want somebody who's been not paying or a problem tenant in some other area, in some other place, some other landlord's property, and then they come to you. That's just not good for you. Treat it like a job interview. These are potential tenants that are going to be living in your asset. You want to make sure that they're the right person. You want to make sure that you're asking the right questions and have all the information you need in order to make a smart business decision, because this is a business. Number 5, this one kind of piggybacks off of the last one, but if you are struggling to have applications come through the door to gain interest, start offering some incentives. You're going to come across slower rental seasons, and most property owners don't adapt. But if you offer incentives, you're going to set yourself above and beyond what those other landlords are doing, and people are going to want to rent your property, especially if it's nice and clean and taken care of. Adding an incentive is going to be just another way to get more applications through the door, so you can make sure you have the right person, the right people in your property. Some examples of stuff that we've done in the past are offer some shorter rental agreements suitable for some tenants, or maybe a discounted rate or a month for free. But it can even be simpler than that. One of the best ways that we've found to get more applications through the door is to offer something like a new TV upon signing a 12-month lease. You might spend $500 at Walmart on a new TV, but if it gets your property rented and rented to the right person, this could save you easily $500 down the line. Especially if you're struggling to get applications, offering that $500 TV and not having your property sit on the market for another 2 weeks to 4 weeks while you're waiting for somebody to come through that door, that's gonna save you money. It's easy math. Doing stuff like this is gonna create that competitive market for yourself. You're gonna create your own competitive market where people want to rent your property. And then it's as easy as finding out which tenant is gonna be the best for you. It leads us to tip number 6. If you're somebody who has a 9-to-5, if you're working on becoming a corporate dropout, but you're not quite there yet, but you do have rental properties, property managers can help. Sure, property managers cost money, typically 10%, but they're gonna take away that headache for you. They'll take care of marketing, collecting rent, dealing with tenant issues. A good property manager is gonna run that day-to-day of your business. Again, your business for that 10% fee. And sometimes, most of the time, it's gonna be worth it for you if you have all these other things going on and your property, your rental property is not your primary business focus. We see it all the time where landlords try to do everything, where they just don't have enough time, and what happens? The last thing on their mind is their rental property, and they neglect their tenants. And what happens when you neglect your tenants? Your tenants neglect your property. So a property manager could save you money in that long term if you are not finding the time to be able to keep up with the tenant requests and some of the other things that go along with being a landlord. Tip number 7, we're all the way at the end. It's almost time for you to go out and optimize your business, optimize your long-term rental. So tip number 7, listen to your tenants. You have to listen to the requests from your tenants and make them feel heard if you want to maintain your property. If your tenant calls and says they have a leaky faucet, don't just brush it off. Not only is this gonna damage your property because a leaky faucet's it's gonna eat through whatever it's dripping on if you don't take care of it quickly, but your tenant's gonna feel like you don't care about them. And that's basically what you're saying. And if you don't care about them, why would they care about your asset? Why would they maintain your property for you? They're not going to. Every interaction with your tenant is an opportunity to build that rapport. So if they call with something, make sure you get somebody over there to take care of it as soon as possible. And that may be difficult, but it's the best way to make sure that when that tenant moves out and you have a new tenant coming in, you're gonna have way less responsibility as far as fixing things up and getting that property back to rent ready. It's always great when you can match your properties with solid tenants who are responsible, who are on time, who are willing to put in that work to maintain your property. If they're happy, you're gonna have a hell of a lot less headaches, and you're gonna have more cash in your pocket, which is the ultimate goal here. Being quick to respond to requests and issues, and making sure that you keep them invested long term is gonna maintain that strong working relationship. Whether you're a new landlord or you're a veteran who's been around the block a time or two and had multiple rental properties, Let us know below some of your tenant nightmares that you've seen in the past. Hopefully you guys learned something today about being a landlord and some of the tools and tips to maintain your property and get the max cash flow out of it, while also providing a safe place for people to live. Because while we are collecting money and turning this into a business for cash flow, it is about taking care of some people. That's all we got for you today. From all of us here at Corporate Dropout, make sure again to hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe, and click that bell icon so you get notified of our next videos. This has been Corporate Dropout. We will see you next time.